It is no secret that Speaker Boehner and Senator Cruz had their clashes on Capitol Hill, but that did not stop this headline from becoming the top story in the country today. And tonight we have Republican presidential candidate Senator Ted Cruz here to respond to that, among other things. Senator, great to see you. Thanks for being here. So what have you been making of it?
It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Lucifer in the flesh. He's never worked with a more miserable son of a bee, and over his dead body will you be president?
Well, you know, I think that reveals everything that's wrong with Washington. Let's start with a little bit of facts. He claims he's never worked with anyone more miserable. I don't know John Boehner. He and I have never worked together. I've probably met him 2, 3, 4 times in my life. I'd be surprised if we've said 50 words to each other, and everything we've ever said has been empty pleasantries. Good to see you, Mr. Speaker. So his claim that he's never worked with anyone more unpleasant, we've never worked together. In fact, during the government shutdown, I reached out and offered for Mike Lee and me to go over and sit down with the Speaker, the Majority Leader, and the response I got was, no interest, there's no point in talking, we have nothing to say to you. So I don't know the guy. But you know what was striking, Megan? In that same interview, Boehner reveals that he is texting and golfing buddies with Donald Trump. He thinks Donald Trump is terrific. He also praised Hillary Clinton. If you want to see what is wrong with the corruption in Washington, with the Washington establishment and the system, John Boehner and Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, they're all part of the same problem.
Well,
and the reason John Boehner is so unhappy.
I mean, like, they would argue that's that you bond a little, you go out on the links. I don't know what I'm talking about. Links, that's what you do. And you bond, and that's how you get deals done.
Well, and there's a reason that Donald Trump gave $100,000 to John Boehner's super PAC, that he texted back and forth with the Speaker, that they're golfing and buddy. If you think John Boehner is the kind of leader you want in the Republican Party, then Donald Trump is your guy. If you think Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi are good leaders in Congress, then Donald Trump is your guy, because Donald Trump has given big checks to Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton.
Let me switch gears.
And you know what I find interesting, but what I find interesting real quickly is that Donald is trying very hard, and the media is trying to very hard, is to paint him as like somehow standing up to the system. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton and John Boehner are the system, and the reason John Boehner's mad at me is that I stood with the people who elected me and led the fight to repeal Obamacare, to stop amnesty, to stop the debt.
He didn't
and there's
like
nothing Washington hates more than it's not just that, it's the debt ceiling, it's amnesty. He doesn't like being held accountable by the voters.
With all the respect to Mr. Boehner, we're giving him too much time. I want to talk about Carly Fiorina, because you know, she is beloved by many Republicans, and yet a lot of people yesterday said, well, this is just a stunt. He's 400 delegates away from securing the nomination. Trump is way ahead of him in the popular vote, 3 million or so. What's he doing naming a running mate? What's your answer?
Well, listen, number one, Carly is fantastic. She's a strong leader. It illustrates the kind of team that will be in the administration if I'm elected president. But number two, this is an unusual year by any measure. And this nomination, naming her as my VP nominee, ensures that we have a clear choice in this election. Between Carly and me on the one side, a positive, optimistic, conservative, forward-looking campaign with real policy solutions to bring jobs back to America, to raise wages, to bring manufacturing jobs back to America, to defend the Constitution and Bill of Rights and keep us safe. Versus, on the other hand, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, which are flip sides of the same coin. They are both the Washington establishment. They're both the system. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton agree on Planned Parenthood. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton agree in many respects on Obamacare. They agree on being neutral between Israel and the Palestinians. And the contrast, the voters in Indiana and going forward deserve a clear choice between Carly and me on the one hand, a positive, optimistic, conservative campaign, and Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, both of whom have gotten rich buying and selling influence in Washington, D.C.
He denies that. So but just for the record, he denies that he's for Obamacare. He says he's very against it and so on. But I want to ask you about the delegate count.
But let's be clear, Megan.
Megan, hold on. Discussion about Obamacare.
Facts matter, and he said repeatedly he supports.
He wants to repeal it.
Megan, true or false? He said repeatedly he supports the individual mandate in Obamacare.
He said that once to Anderson Cooper, and then he took it back.
Okay, so that's a fact. So that is a fact. That is true.
I'm trying
true
to move
or
the
false? He
discussion
said
forward,
that the government should provide health care for everyone.
He said that.
I mean,
agreed.
but facts matter.
He said that to Scott Pelley.
Okay,
I got you. Listen, I'm just trying. Just for the record, he's not here to defend
facts matter, and we can't just dismiss it. Well, he says it's not true. Well, he said it multiple times on television, looking in the camera.
I got it. He said the government's going to pay for it. He wants to take care of everyone, and the government's going to pay for it. That's what he told Scott Pelley.
Now, that's the truth, but you know what, Megan? He will say you're lying for repeating what he's saying.
Okay. Let me ask you this.
But he wants to expand it. He doesn't like it because he thinks it doesn't go far enough.
Okay.
I don't like it. I'm going to repeal every word of it as president.
He likes some form of government health care, is your point, whatever it's called.
No, he likes massive government health care. He invokes Scotland and Canada. And Obamacare is the biggest job killer in America. If you're a small business owner, Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders are both going to increase the burdens on you. I'm going to repeal every word of it. And that's why we need a clear contrast. Donald Trump and Hillary are both pretending to be something they're not.
I'm trying to ask you about something that is concerning to your supporters. Your supporters who understand how important Indiana is to your campaign. Yeah. But the polls are showing that some 65% of Republicans, even people who support Ted Cruz, believe the person who enters the convention with the most delegates and the most votes should likely emerge as the nominee, even if it takes, even if he doesn't have a majority. And right now, as I mentioned, he's got 400 more delegates than you do. He's got 3.2 million more votes in the popular vote than you do. He won 27 states. You won 11. So given that, how could you possibly unite this party coming out of a contested convention?
Well, let me answer it a couple of ways. Number one, nobody is going to get to 1237. Donald's not going to get there. I'm not going to get there. Donald can't get there. It's why he's so desperately trying to convince everyone the race is over, because he knows he shifted from the East Coast. But he's not going to. He is not going to, and he's not going to get to 1237. And even when folks try to do all sorts of math, he falls short. And we're going to a contested convention. And listen, the poll you cited, listen, of course people say yes to that poll. If you call someone up and says, should the person with votes win? Anyone goes, duh, yeah. Mm-hmm. How about asking the question that is really the relevant question? Should you have to earn a majority to be the nominee?
No,
I guarantee you 60-70% will say yes to that as well. I mean, that's a poll question that's rigged. The Trumpsters push it out there because it suggests, I mean, if you ask anyone, should the person with the most votes win? Of course. But his argument is he should be the nominee even though he can't win a majority. And let me tell you, we're headed to Cleveland. There will be a contested convention. Donald Trump won't get to 1237. And when that happens, the highest vote total Trump ever has will be the first vote total. He will go steadily down. And I believe what we're seeing is the Republican Party uniting. And, Megan, that's one of the reasons people are so excited with my naming Carly as my VP, because Carly is has an incredible ability to unify and bring this party together. It's why 5 of the 17 Republican candidates who started have endorsed my campaign, including Carly, including Scott Walker and Jeb Bush and Lindsey Graham and Rick Perry. We are uniting the party. And we've got to stand for something.
How can you say that? Because the critics say you're not uniting them. I mean, when they look at what happened on Tuesday, you lost 5 states. You didn't even get 25% of the vote. I know it was in the Northeast. I know that wasn't a Ted Cruz tailor-made election. But your critics say Donald Trump may not be uniting them, given never Trump and so on, but nor are you.
Well, Megan, listen, Donald won his home state, and he won several states that immediately are right next to his home state. That's terrific. He did well in the Northeast. What I can tell you is right before that, we won 5 states in a row. 5 states in a row, one after the other, from Utah to North Dakota to Wisconsin to Colorado to Wyoming.
How confident are you in Indiana?
I hope we will do well. We're campaigning and barnstorming, and we're working to earn the votes. Listen, I will say this. I have a great deal of confidence in the Midwestern sense and good judgment of the Hoosier state. And the people of Indiana are deciding, do we want to nominate a campaign that is based on yelling and screaming and cursing and insults? Or do we want a campaign with real solutions? You know, it's been 48 days since the last Republican debate. I think the people of Indiana deserve a debate. And by the way, today Donald Trump gave a speech once again screaming that I'm a liar, because I did what you did earlier on the show. I actually point out his real record and what he says. And when you do that, when you tell the truth about Donald, he calls you a liar.
Okay.
Donald, I've got a great idea. Let's have a debate in Indiana, and let's talk about what you believe and what I believe, and in particular, solutions to bring jobs back to America. I've got a real economic agenda to bring manufacturing jobs back to Indiana, to raise wages. Donald doesn't know how to solve these problems, which is why he's unwilling to debate. And by the way, we have a new website. It's cruzcarly.com, cruzcarly.com, cruzcarly.com.
It's great to see you. Thanks for being here, Senator Cruz.
Always a pleasure, Megan. Thank you.